Okay, so this is the second video I'm making for you. It's going to show you how to change your settings on your camera. So the cameras that we have are these Canon, I think they're like, let's see what the number is. Yeah, the Vixia HFR 800. You may have like a 600 or 700 or something like that. It just depends on what year you were refreshed. If you have the brand new cameras, I think the new cameras are Sony's. In our meeting, if you remember, they said, you know, they ordered those by mistake and don't really use them because they don't have the microphone port like these have. But as you can see on my screen, I have like the grid and stuff like that, which helps the kids with rule of thirds. So I'll show you how to set all that up. So the first thing you want to do is change your resolution. So if you go here into your settings and you go to video quality, you need the video quality. By default, it's going to be 17 megabits per second, which it says is full HD, but it's actually not. It's only 720p. So if you go to 24 megabits per second, that's actually 1080p. See how it says high quality? And then because I have some additional settings turned on, it won't even let me go to higher quality than that. But if you go to the higher quality, the 35 megabits per second, that's actually still 1080p. It just shoots it at 60 frames per second instead of 30. So if you want to do something in slow motion, you could turn off the other settings and shoot with that, but you might as well just use 30 frames per second and do slow motion. Okay, but anyway, getting back to your other settings that you'll need to turn on. And I'm trying to remember what all I turned on. I think most of this is all on by default. Yeah, I don't think I changed anything there. Okay, so here's where I started changing stuff. So my on-screen markers, if you click on that, you can see you have where it's just one line across and that's white or gray, or you have a grid and you can do white or gray. So I did the gray grid because the white is kind of distracting. It's really stands out. The gray is a little less obvious. So that's what I chose to go with. And then other than that, I don't think there's really anything. Yeah, there's nothing else that I changed there. And then if I go to the last settings, let's see here. If you ever want to clear an entire SD card, you can put it in a camera and choose this option, which is initialize SD, and that will clear the whole card. So it's just a really fast way of clearing the entire card. Okay, so that's all the settings that I changed under that one. And then if I went to main functions, so one of the things you'll need to change is zoom type. I think by default it's 32x, but you can get a little bit of a wider shot if you change it to 57x. Don't go to 1440 because it's actually doing that digitally at that point, but 57x and 32x, that's actually with the camera lens, so you don't lose any quality, and you get a little bit of a wider shot if you do 57x. So I did that one. And then another thing that I did under the main functions was, let's see here, I left pretty much everything on auto because the kids aren't going to know how to do all that stuff. But like white balance, exposure, focus, mic level, that's all on auto. So yeah, I think that's the only thing that I changed in there was zoom type. And then here's the biggest change that you're going to want to make. You're going to want to click on this filter, and you're going to, by default, I think it's like standard or something. I always changed it to vivid, which makes your colors pop a lot more, because if you've noticed in some of your footage, it's kind of bland and there's not a whole lot of contrast between colors. So if you turn on vivid under this filter options, that'll just make the colors really pop. You know, you have some other options here if you're trying to do something artsy like cool or sepia, if you want it to look like an old western or something like that. But usually I just tell the kids to don't mess with any of the settings because they, you know, will forget to change it back or things like that. I think that's pretty much all that I changed. Everything else should be pretty much set. So Yeah, again, the two big ones are just going to video quality, making it 24 megabits per second. That changes it to 1080p. That's going to be the biggest switch. And then the second biggest switch is probably turning on this vivid function to make the colors really pop. And then having the on-screen markers, and then changing the zoom size to 57x instead of 32x. Those are all things that'll just help you out.